So you're playing a healer in ESO PvP, right? And you know the feeling. You're pumping out insane heals, your team's health bars are almost always full, but you still get absolutely wiped. It is one of the most frustrating things in the entire game. Well, in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly why that's happening, and more importantly, how you can fix it for good. Think about it. You finish a battleground, you look at the scoreboard, and you see you've pulled, I don't know, 1 million, maybe 2 million healing. You feel like you did your job, right? But your team still lost, and your own kill-death ratio is, well, it's not looking so great. The numbers say you're a fantastic healer, but the results say you're losing. So what is the disconnect here? Let's dive in. And this really brings us to the core problem for pretty much every PvP healer who's trying to get better. I like to call it the healer's dilemma. It's this huge gap between what the scoreboard tells you is good and what actually wins fights out there on the battlefield. You know, this quote from the source material just nails the veteran player mindset perfectly. Big healing numbers? They're a vanity metric. What experienced players are actually looking for in a healer isn't how much they healed. It's how much they helped the team win, and, maybe most importantly, how often they died. Think about it like this. Anybody can rack up huge healing numbers by just spamming heals on poke damage. You know, that meaningless damage that happens in a stalemate where nothing is really happening. Your kill/death ratio, though, that tells the real story. It shows if you were able to stay alive when things got intense, and keep your team alive when it actually mattered. A positive KD on a healer? That means you were a genuine asset, not just a heal bot. Okay, so if chasing those big, flashy numbers is the wrong way to go, what are the actual mistakes that are holding you back? We're about to get into the nitty-gritty, the specific things that lead to a dead healer and ultimately a defeated team. It really all boils down to these 4 critical mistakes. We've already talked about chasing those vanity numbers. But number 2, ignoring your own survivability. That is the biggest killer of them all. And this is usually caused by the other 2 mistakes, putting way too many points into max magicka and running a build that's just missing the essential tools you need to survive in PvP. And look, it all comes down to this one simple, almost obvious, but absolutely golden rule. A dead healer doesn't do any healing. Every single decision you make, your gear, your stats, your skills, it all has to answer one question first. Will this keep me alive? If the answer is no, it's the wrong choice. Your number 1 job is to simply exist. All right, enough about the problems. Let's start talking about the solutions. Becoming that unkillable, super effective healer isn't about some secret meta gear set. It all starts with building a rock-solid foundation of the right stats. And I want to be clear, this isn't guesswork. The best healers out there, they understand the math behind their character sheet. They know exactly how each stat affects their survivability and their healing, which lets them make really smart, really efficient choices. Let's start with the one stat that is absolutely non-negotiable. Your max health when you're fully buffed in PvP needs to be 30,000 or higher, period. End of story. Anything less than that and you're just a juicy target waiting to be deleted by enemy burst damage. This is your first and most important line of defense. Okay, now this next part, it might sound a little crazy, but you actually want to keep your max magicka under 30,000. Stacking tons and tons of magicka is, according to the analysis, the single worst investment you can make. Yeah, it makes your tooltips look big and impressive, but it leaves you incredibly squishy and gives you really, really bad returns on your actual healing power. So if you're not dumping all your points into magicka, where do you put them? Well, this is where it gets interesting. Take a look at this table. The math shows that if your build is focused on heal over time abilities, stacking the healing done modifier is your best bet, hands down. But if your build relies more on those big, single-target burst heals, then investing in critical chance is what's going to give you those massive life-saving heals. And just to make sure we're all on the same page, let's quickly define these terms. HOTS, or heals over time, are your sticky heals, the ones that follow your teammates around and give them constant support. Burst heals, on the other hand, are your oh crap button, that one massive instant heal to pull someone back from the brink of death. A good build needs both. So we've got our stat foundation all sorted out. Now let's talk about the gear and the skills that are going to bring it all to life. And the good news is there's a really simple and effective formula you can use on pretty much any healing class. Here is the recipe for success. 1 5-piece heavy armor set, usually on your body pieces for the most resistances. Then 1 5-piece light armor set
on your weapons and jewelry for sustain and team buffs. And you finish it off with a 2-piece monster set or a mythic. Seriously, it's that simple. This structure gives you the perfect mix of tankiness and utility.
So why this specific setup? Well, it is all about balance. The heavy armor is your survival insurance. It keeps you in the fight. The light armor is your engine. It gives you the resources and the buffs you need to actually do your job. If you try to run 2 heavy sets, your Magicka sustain is going to be terrible. And if you try to run 2 light sets, you're just going to get blown up.
Now let's talk skills. And I don't care what class you're playing, these 3 types of abilities are absolutely non-negotiable. First, you need a Magicka-based heal over time, like radiating regeneration. Second, you need a stamina-based one, like echoing vigor. And third, you have to have a mobility skill that breaks snares, like race against time. PvP is all about movement, and if you don't have these, you're basically just a sitting duck.
And this quote just hammers home how vital radiating regeneration and echoing vigor are. They're called sticky hots because they literally attach to your teammates and heal them no matter where they go. In a chaotic fight where people are constantly moving, those ground-based heals are just way too unreliable. These 2 skills are your absolute bread and butter. Okay, we've covered the stats, we've covered the gear, and we've covered the core skills. But to really go from being a good healer to a great one, there is one last crucial mindset shift you have to make. And here it is. Your job is not just to watch health bars go down and then fill them back up. An elite healer is proactive. You use your entire toolkit, your stuns, your debuffs like Major Defile, your roots, to help your team lock down and finish off targets. You have to stop being a heal bot and start being a playmaker. You don't just prevent deaths, you actively create kills, and that is how you turn the tide of a fight. So there you have it. The formula is clear. Prioritize your own survival above everything. Build your stats with your head, not your tooltips, master those core sticky heals and mobility skills, and shift your mindset from just healing to actively helping your team get kills. The roadmap is all laid out for you. The only question left is, are you ready to stop trolling and start winning?